Hi, Music You Can See. We're at Winter NAMM, Lee Oskar. It's always such a pleasure to run into this gentleman. An incredible harmonica player, the band War. He produces. He's also a painter, which I didn't realize. He's, talk about your new calendar.
Well, yeah, as you said, I paint, and I've been doing artwork as much as the harmonica since I was a young child, since I was 6 years old. Of course, as I grew older and I could afford buying paints, I've been using acrylics for the last 25 years doing paintings. And just so you know, I mean, even when I did all the War albums, I was the one that took the liberty, since I was in the band, and wanted the album covers to represent what our music was. I did all the album covers too.
You designed them.
I was that's called the art director. I learned something by being the art director, that I was on the other side of the fence as I normally was the artist. That I would pick different people, recognizing the style that they had, to implement or to direct them with picking that style. Like, for example, Why Can't We Be Friends album and The World Is a Ghetto album. That was a Howard Miller that I liked his style, because it's a very crude style. So they were my concepts, and I would sit with him with the direction, with his style of drawing.
As an art director, did it always come exactly what you were envisioning?
No, nothing ever comes exact.
Okay.
I mean, anybody tells me exact, even when I paint and create, I go in the moment, and I can tell you exactly after the fact, but in the moment you have a direction, and then you let it flow, and if you embellish, if you are connected with it, you embellish, you're in the moment, then usually the magic reflects, or the magic is there, because you're not procrastinating, thinking. You're going with the flow and expressing. Like when we did first the Why Can't We Be Friends album, originally that same image, the face I had created, was called Smile Happy, which was another composition on the War album, and I was going to call it Smile Happy, but because the manager needed to name the album after maybe a better choice to cross over from R&B to pop, which became Why Can't We Be Friends, but it works still with that face. And to be honest with you, even that gold tooth you see on Why Can't We Be Friends' face, that first was called Smile Happy, that gold tooth I had put on there. The ex-manager, Steve Gold, who's passed away now, he actually put a gold tooth with a diamond, so people thought it was an image of him, but he copied that image. But moving forward, I did this calendar for 2024, and it started with I was asked by Playing for Change, which you may know that organization, if I would do their next album cover. So I did this and it's called Humanity. Yeah. And you can see here the Humanity is a silhouette, a profile of a face, beautiful face, the sunset, the sunrise. But here you can see the treble clef right up there, and you can see the line for the music notes, right? The 5 bars, right?
Right.
And then at the same time, these hands come out, and that's a percussion. That's the person's ear, and at the same time, it's headphones. You see. So, and I call it Seasons of Humanity, a year of original art by me. So, going through it, so that got me going, and I said, I think I'm going to depict musical instruments, different musical instruments. And the reason why I decided I want to do it is because when we talk about humanity, first of all, wherever I travel, if I see the instruments they traditionally use and the modes they play in, generally speaking, in a lot of cases, I can read on that which cultures invaded who. You see, yeah, and there's an example of humanity doing what humanity's doing to each other. The blame on anything, horrific things, all the rhetoric bullshit people buy, the propaganda, anything, conquer and divide, people take sides, and yet people are too lazy to dig deeper than the rhetoric to understand where things come from. So to me, by depicting musical instruments, it's a nice way for me to paint images, but the depth within it, I'm also, in my own mind, showing little with affirmations and in here where humanity is at. So obviously the first thing humanity is before musical instruments is your own voice. So that's her singing with a mic coming up. I call that vulnerability. And an affirmation, give voice to your inspiration, right? Give voice to your inspiration, that's simple. Then it's a bio, on me and that kind of stuff. And there's the first one for January, humanity. And humanity, every voice matters, needs to be heard. Humanity. Then After Hours, there's two paintings, After Hours. And this is called Love Means, for the saxophone. After Hours, celebrate the love in your life. And then love means more than words can say. And then we go to the oud, called Liberation. And the oud, the string instrument, is orientated from the Middle East and the Mediterranean. And the woman, embracing the oud is my way of expressing that there's liberation, as far as what the gender between man and woman and all that. So that's what that represents, and the terrain in that area where it comes from. And it's liberation. Live your truth from the inside out. And then we go to April, and it's called Soul Searching. And she's sitting there as a guitar. She's sitting there looking across the waters with a basket of music notes. She's soul searching. And
Very cool.
and that is soul searching. Take time to go within. That's where the answers live. And then I went to what I call sound check. And you can see this cello. She's doing a sound check. You can see there's chairs, probably many more, in the backyard somewhere where she's getting ready to do a concert. And she's doing a sound check before the people come. And that's called sound check. Stay open and prepared to express yourself. Then we go to spirit, not plural, not spirits, but one spirit. And this, as you see, is a ukulele and Hawaiian. And this island of Hawaii has been invaded by many cultures. And a lot of people, if I ask them the ukulele, where's it from, they don't say Hawaii. It's not. It's a Portuguese guitar. So the Portuguese, whoever the first Portuguese cowboys that invaded or came into these islands, they played a fourth string is Portuguese. So when they played it, they call it ukulele. Ukulele means jumping fleas. So the guy must have played something really staccato and very fast. Something, whether it sounded good or not, I don't know, but they called it something like jumping fleas. Yeah. So that was, and then there's a lot of spirit going on in Hawaii because there's so many cultures, from Samoans, Hawaiians, Indonesian, Filipinos, the Polynesians, Japanese, many cultures. And the rivalry between all cultures today is nobody's the majority, everybody's competing for that, right? And so there's the dancers, which is the warriors and that. And so there's a lot of energies that goes on in this territory. So spirit, tap into spirit. It's everywhere, it's everything, right? Then we go to the woman and the violin. And it's called Connected. You can see how it's connected. And connected. Play your unique role as part of the whole. Then this is the flautist, called Full of Play. And here, Full of Play. Breathe into the music so it can blow you away.
That's my one. That's your bonus, August. I'm July.
Now this one is called, I call it Gumni, because this is depicting the choral instrument, the string instrument, the choral, which comes out of Mali and Senegal, where a lot of slavery was going to America from there. And humanity, again, slavery didn't start here. Slavery came down from Morocco and from the Middle East. And this string instrument, that is the kora, that they traditionally use in Senegal and this area, Somalia and the West Coast, it tells me they were invaded by the Middle East, like the oud. They didn't start with string instruments in this region, but there was an instrument from the oud and other string instruments that evolved to become what they called, like this, many strings like a harp, as the kora. And these gorgs they grow, that resonates, they also use for percussion, they grow there. And then the clams, the shells in that for percussion also, because it's by the sea or the ocean, you know, by the waters there. But this is where the blues come from. And Gomni, that is the name of a composition that Mark Johnson sent me from Playing for Change when they recorded this group of people playing these instruments in Mali. And it sounded like John Lee Hooker. It sounded like Cisco Kid from War, which is a minor pentatonic. Very interesting. So I depicted, and this is like dry and almost desert in this area of the west coast of Africa. So I depicted that. And the affirmation is Gomni, the oldest roots can bear the sweetest fruit. Then we got to this one called Serenade. And again, it's depicting as commonly a guitar, a lady, and the ocean, the sea, the travel, the journeys, serenading music. And the affirmation, behind closed eyes, everything may be music, blessing for all to hear. Then we go to November, 2 images. Keeping in the pocket is a person playing a cello or contrabass. And then this one is like heavy metal or electric guitar, rhythm and groove. So keeping it in the pocket, rehearse, repeat, then after the crowd thins, improvise. And then rhythm and groove, stay in the groove, it gets deep. And then final is the harmonica, as I play, and it's called Moving Forward. May your year be filled with the joy of music, art, and humanity. Among yours, Lee Oskar. Moving forward, keep it moving, keep it alive.
Beautiful.
And then the back shows you all the images. And we have Playing for Change, as we highly recommend. Lee Oskar, for Lee Oskar Monikers, and Dreams to Share, my record label. So this is a...
Those are beautiful. How long does it take you to paint these?
it varies. And even when
So much detail.
Yeah, and even when I so-called finish, sort of, then it's a week or so or later. Then I start. Then it could be another few weeks of details, more. If I don't know no better, I could be continuing on the same painting, and you can go on and on. So you have to know when to stop. Also, same thing.
More with music, I think.
No, same.
Same.
I don't care if it's visual painting or music. It comes from the same place. And when I paint and when I compose, it's in the moment. It's in the moment. At all moments, I don't start. I may start with something just as a hook. Like if I had to do like I was at the Memphis IBC International Blues Challenge last week, and I got awarded for the Keeping the Blues Alive, that special award.
Congratulations.
And they told me to say a speech. And I'm not good at speeches, but I'm very good in talking, as you can see. If I can express all and anything I feel in the moment, as long as I have a hook to start with. So I realized if I'm going to talk about something meaningful, what's my hook? Okay, my hook is life is a journey. As soon as I open my saying life is a journey, it allowed me to kind of go back and forth with different things that might be highlights and touching. How I got to play harmonica, my first harmonica, my journey with that, how I met Eric Burton, how I got with War, why I was painting, how I got into manufacturing harmonicas. You know, everything is a journey. So if I have something to hold on to as the hook, then it's easy for me to express things. So it's the same thing with painting. I start with something and then it just kind of takes me where it is. I never think of everything in advance because I could never do it anyhow, and it'll be a train wreck. I think, as I've said many times, man's worst disease is thinking. I mean, I'm talking now thinking, but if I'm going to apply something, this goes out the window, and it's, if I'm going to paint or play music, the only thing I can trust, no different if I'm in a street fight, is my reflexes. Anything else that's not part of my reflexes is not going to be included when I'm in the moment where I have to survive. Whether I'm playing on stage or painting, if you have to survive and really express here, it's got to be my reflexes. That's all I can count on. And I can tell you, I might have said this in other ways before when I talked to you guys, but you know, people talk about musically hopeless. There's a lot of people who got big ears, who hears music profoundly deep, but are considered musically hopeless because they can't physically channel and play an instrument. But they're not musically hopeless. I can tell you that some people physically can play 10 different instruments, in my opinion, is musically hopeless. Because it's not about technically playing this and that. The only time music is music, when somebody plays an instrument, is if there is a feeling and a passion that comes through it.
And you think that carries through to the consumer, to the person who's
Oh,
listening?
yeah. Because if you listen to me play, I will trust what I'm saying is, you don't hear my harmonica, you hear my feelings. You don't even realize it's harmonica. You might consciously, what's she playing? Oh, it's harmonica. But at the same second, my emotions is going to take you on a journey, whatever it does to you, and you're not thinking of the harmonica, you think of the feelings, and hearing the feelings. That's when music is music. Not when you're hearing the instrument, when you're conscious of the instrument. But when you're here and you're conscious of a feeling, that how it touches you, then you're connected. And main music always do that. Not because you're playing an instrument, but because how you can express through it.
Really like the blues.
Well, the blues is just a generic thing. There's a lot of people say I play the blues. They don't play the blues to me. They play the chords, they play the melodies, but I don't feel shit. They're playing from here. They're mimicking a poem. Da 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 da. They're mimicking. You know, a monologue. Like if I was to up and give a speech and I was one of those people that had it all written down, it would never come through. When I got on stage at the Memphis, I thought I talked for 5 minutes. I was a half an hour talking. And it didn't feel long to me. It didn't feel long to them either. They were actually thanking me about some of the things I was saying. I touched. And I touched myself by being able to express. If I had done it with a speech and thinking, come across the monologue, maybe I had even more things said in it. But the feeling and the energy of telling it, if it's just words that are giving wisdom and there's not a feeling behind it, it won't necessarily connect to people, even though I might be a very wise man. That's why some politicians who know a lot of great stuff, who really be the best people to lead us, sometimes they're the most boring because they talk in monologues. Where somebody can shoot from the hip and just bullshit a few rhetoric things, say, wow, this guy's great, you know? So a lot of times, monologue can be a great thing if we take responsibility to lean in and listen to what they're saying. But if you're just going to rely on passion and feeling, and it's not a monologue, sometimes that's more contagious.
Lee, you've been on my mind lately, the last few months. Thank you for showing us a whole nother side of you. I had no idea that you were a painter.
Yeah, well, like I tell people, it comes from the same place. You know, maybe it's like when I paint, it's the same as I compose. Then when I perform my composition, it's the same as maybe featuring my works to the public. You know, but they all have that within spiritual, that passion of allowing your reflexes, trusting your reflexes to express. not even knowing what I'm going to end up doing. I mean, I give it a title after I've done it. I give it a composition title too. If I was to tell you, I knew I composed everything up front before I composed on that. How can you say that? You can't compose up front. You're composing it. Then wherever it takes you, you come up with a concept from that. You call it a name. You give it a name. If you say anything other than that, you're bullshitting.
Amazing. Wow. It's been a nice journey. I learned something. This is the third time I've had the pleasure of interviewing Lee, and I always learn something new. You know, here he is, a musician with War, an art director with War, a producer, a painter in his own right, and a philosopher. Wow, it doesn't get any better. God bless you, Lee. Thank you for your time. Music You Can See, Winter NAMM.
Thank you.
Can you